And welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel, guys. It is Sunday, the day after our difficult game against Alavés. I think the one word I'd use there to describe that draw, and yet more drop points, is frustrating. It didn't go the way we all hoped, and that's why in today's video, I'm going to be addressing the questions that you guys want answered. We're going to be talking about Lionel Messi, whether he needs to rest, what's going on with him right now. We're also going to be talking about Koeman's reluctance to use Riqui Puig, about Ousmane Dembele, and a difficult game for him yesterday, and whether we can still win La Liga. It's all coming up in today's video. Thanks for getting involved, guys. Let's get to it. Because if we start here with those expectations and several questions coming into me today about La Liga and about whether even in these early days, are we still able to win it? Are we still in this title race with so many points already dropped? And in particular there, given that before the season I did say, quite honestly, that we should keep our expectations pretty low for the campaign ahead, and I've got to lower those even more now. And to be honest, I wouldn't say personally that I've lowered my expectations any further. I think it's still very early on. Obviously, we can't keep saying it's early in the season because as we're saying that, the season is moving along. But I think we all knew before this campaign even began, it was going to be that transitional year. We do have a lot more young players coming through. We got rid of a lot of experienced players that needed to happen, but obviously that transition is not going to be easy. And of course, all the off-the-field stuff too with the president, all the rest of it, it was always going to be a very turbulent campaign. And I do believe still that even despite all of that, we can still challenge. We have seen in games this season the potential of this team. We've seen some very good performances, but what we have lacked and what is clear to see right now is that we're lacking consistency. And when you want to win a league title, what do you need? You need consistency. Because you look at it so far and the numbers already are very damning the way of Barcelona. Real Madrid have had 21 points to play for. They've dropped 5 points out of those 21 so far, which in the grand scheme of things, it looks okay, even though for Real, it's still not all that good. Atletico have only dropped 4 out of their 18, but for Barcelona, we've had 18 points to play for. We've already dropped 10. We've dropped more points than we've gained, and I think in order here to even think about challenging and winning this title, we're going to need a serious run, and it's going to need to start soon. We are going to need to see this team find that consistency and just go on a complete run of wins where we look unstoppable. Can we do that? We can. Will we do that? We're going to find out. It's not going to be easy, and we are going to need to see another level to what this team has shown so far. But of course, by far and away, even before this game began, we spoke about it before the game even started, it was the subject of Riqui Puig, and that is something right now that I think is dividing us Barcelona fans. I think it's something that none of us really understand the reasoning behind why he's not been involved under Ronald Koeman so far. And already, it's funny that I should have so many questions here after we've just dropped points against Alavés about Riqui Puig, because you don't have to go back very far at all to remember exactly what he's capable of. Before we even talk about him, let's just remember, at the final game of last season, Barcelona against Alavés, we won 5-0 on the day. Who started that game? Who finished that game? Who played 90 minutes and provided 2 assists? Should have been 3 if Suarez had converted his chance. Riqui Puig. He was sensational in that game there against Alavés, and he clearly was one of those emerging talents in this team that we should be nurturing. Yet here we are, he's excluded from the squad against Alavés, up until now, hardly played in La Liga under Ronald Koeman. Now, probably the most repeated response to that has always been, well, can he play in Ronald Koeman's system? Can he actually operate there in a 4-2-3-1 formation? Can he play the holding role? Can he play the attacking role? And you know what? He can. He can play it. Many people will say, you know what? He's not a defensive midfielder, but that's not really what those 2 in midfield are looking to do. How many games are you going to see where Barcelona are actually defending? Most of the time they were on the front foot. Yesterday, we even saw De Jong deployed by choice at centre-back because we were that offensive that we wanted our centre-back there to be able to come forward and play. Quite clearly, you don't need somebody there who's amazing defensively. And you can't tell me that Riqui Puig yesterday, coming off the bench, wouldn't have made an impact. He would have. You saw what Pedri came on and did, and he would have had a very similar impact to that. I genuinely believe that. And we saw as well, in playing in pre-season, in that deeper role, alongside Carlos Alenya and another player who's been casted out by Koeman, and I just don't understand why Koeman is so reluctant to play Riqui Puig, especially when we're seeing Busquets right now, who we can all agree, as much as I love Busquets, he's nowhere near it. Right now, he is nowhere near the level we need in that midfield, yet he gets many minutes. But Riqui Puig, he's cast aside. And I think the one thing you'd say right now, and the one big criticism you'd have of Koeman, is that it looks to me as though he's trying to prove a point. What he's trying to do here is the fact that he told Puig in the summer he should go out on loan, he should leave the club, and Puig said no. He said, I am determined to fight for my place here, to fight for minutes, I want to stay. And it just seems now like Koeman is just trying to stand his ground. But what I would say about that is, be very careful, because as a coach of Barcelona, you've got so many things to deal with. You need to be fighting for every single result, and if you start letting those kind of grudges to impact your decisions, it'll hurt the team, but more than anything, in the end, it'll hurt you. Another player that has certainly been popular in terms of the questions is Ousmane Dembele, and a good question here asking whether he'd be better off as an impact sub later on in games, bringing him on to better effect, given the fact that he has struggled at times when he started the game. And it is interesting, and I think, to be honest, it depends on the game. Because, for instance, I think you look at the game yesterday, if you'd have brought Dembele on in the closing stages against Alavés, I don't think he would have done anything differently at all to what we saw from Francisco Trincao, because Alavés were so deep. They were parking the bus, they were in a really deep block, and Dembele wouldn't really have been able to penetrate that kind of defence. And that's the problem right now, because we've seen Dembele start against Getafe and now against Alavés, two teams who sat much deeper, and they have really closed down the spaces, and he struggled. And it's not only in terms of Dembele going forward, not making things happen, because many players out there yesterday struggled in terms of attacking Alavés' goal, but it wasn't just that, it's the way that he loses the ball. We saw it against Getafe, we saw it yesterday against Alavés, Dembele over and over again being careless in possession, and when you do that, you invite pressure on your own team, and that is why he was subbed off at half-time. But on the flip side of that, it's difficult, because you look at the games there when he came on against Ferencváros when there was space, when he started against Juventus, and he was brilliant at the Allianz Stadium in Turin. He looks like a completely different player, and that's because in those two games, the contrast there is all in the space. When he has opportunities there to run at defences, when he has chances there to actually pick up the ball and, just like against Juventus, to counter-attack, to run into that space and commit opposition defenders in a 1-versus-1, he can do that. And he's so good in that area. And that's why it's frustrating right now, because Dembele has so much good about his game. He can do so many good things going forward, but he has to take more care on the ball. I think in these kind of games, where it is tough, where it is tight, when the defence are deeper, he needs to be more careful in possession. And that is what Koeman will be demanding, because if he doesn't take better care of it, he is going to be limited to just playing in those games where he has that space. Finally though, of course, we do have to talk about Lionel Messi, and plenty of questions, and probably the most popular question was certainly Lionel Messi from you guys, and a range of different things, because quite honestly, Messi yesterday, I think we'll all admit, wasn't at his best. I don't think in the season so far, of course, he's been hitting those astronomically high levels that we expect from him, and of course still, that wait for his first goal from open play this season, incredibly, it still goes on. And the one thing that I would say, aside from his performance right now, aside from whatever may be going on outside of the field, we don't know what sort of headspace Messi is in, whether he still wants to leave, whether he's affected by what's going on with the presidency and all of that kind of stuff. One thing that I would say is, does he need more rest? And I think that's something that many of you guys as well are wondering right now, because you look at Messi, you look at the stage of the career that he's at, he's played every single minute of our 6 La Liga games so far, every single minute. He's also played every single minute of our 2 Champions League games, even when, let's remember, we were 5-1 up against Ferencváros, cruising in that game, but still, he stayed on for the full 90. And of course, let's not forget as well, very importantly, every single minute of Argentina's 2 World Cup qualifiers, and you'll remember that one of those qualifiers, an absolutely grueling trip to Bolivia, which took a lot out of him. And that's the problem. And I don't really know here whether we're looking at Messi or whether we're looking at Koeman or a combination of both, but somebody there, I feel, has to take the the authority and say, you know what, Messi, he does need to rest. He is not a robot. He's not somebody who can just go on and on and on. And as we know, in games, Messi at times will walk around. He won't get involved in the pressing. He won't get involved in the tracking back. And people will say, you know what, he's resting out on the field. But not all the time can you afford to do that. And I think at times it does need to be said when we're ahead in games, when we're cruising in games, he needs to take it upon himself, and also Ronald Koeman needs to stamp his authority and say, you know what, it's time for some rest. You've got to be strong, you've got to be brave, and it's not easy. I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do by any means, because Messi always wants to play, Messi always wants to score, especially right now. He probably wants that goal from open play, but still, we have to think of the team, and for Messi too, rest is needed, and all eyes now will be on that game at home in the Champions League against Dynamo Kiev on Wednesday. Will Messi play the full 90? Will he get any rest? Could he even be a sub? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, guys, on what you would do ahead of that game. And not just in terms of Messi, but in terms of all the questions from today. Will Puig play against Dynamo? Will Dembele enjoy more success in that game? Let me know, and thank you indeed for your questions. It wasn't good yesterday, and it wasn't the result that we wanted, but we will keep moving, keep striving, and hopefully keep improving. I'll see you soon, guys, and I thank you for your support. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. But until next time, as always, Visca el Barça!